Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about AA. What is the pros, the cons of different deck builds, and how would AA work in general? First off, let's just look at 5th Panzer. They've got three types of AA. You see two, but really it's three. First of all, there's two distinctions you need to make between different types of AA. Well, actually, there's three. Man pads, which are just your standard, infrared, surface-to-air missile from the squad. Then you have infrared missile systems, and then you also have infrared missile systems, which is big difference. First of all, what's the difference between infrared and radar? Radar can be seeded, meaning that enemy planes with capability to detect the radar and shoot them will just absolutely mow them down. But the pros are that any AA gun that has radar tends to have more range. So this is an infrared Roland 2, will not be seeded, has about 3,887 meters for aircraft. But then you look at the Roland 3, it's radar based, so can be seeded, but has 4,240 meters, which this difference actually does make a difference. So that's something to note. And there's the Gepards, guys, another great AA. There'll be this type of AA for both the Russians, Americans, the PVATs. So there's tons of variety of different AA for this, but here's the difference. These are almost all radar based. I think they all are. So they absolutely destroy. They don't have as much range. As you can see, this thing only has 2,825 range. But you said the Roland 2, for example, has 3,800. But again, they're cheap and they destroy with any aircraft that come in the vicinity. But they are easily susceptible to seed. The pros to these things are, though, and I really recommend that you bring these Gepards, whether it's the Russian Tentuska and other things, they're cheap. They're 65 points. They're 50 points for other decks, and for the Americans, I think it's 70 points. And the thing is if a seed plane comes in, which if you look at, 5th Panzer, for example, a seed plane is only worth 235 points, while your little AA gun is 65 points. So you can have three of these. One of the seeds takes out one of these things, quickly, but then you have two more that will absolutely gun this thing down. Meaning that you just traded a 65-point vehicle for a, F-16C that's 235. Another thing too is that you can turn these guns off, let the seed fly in a direction. Once the seed's front has passed your AA net, you can let these things go back on. And this is for missile systems as well. The seed will not be able to react to anything, and you'll just take it out of the air. Furthermore, it's a must to take some infrared missile systems. If someone's going heavy seed and they actually know what they're doing, it's good to mix in these things, because then you can always be firing back. Especially, you'll see a lot of times in late game, a lot of aircraft come out, such as seeds. But then you'll also see a whole bunch of HE bombers coming in, and they're trying to make you turn off your weapons so they can drop in their payloads without any much damage. But if you have a few Roland 2s in here with infrared, you can absolutely mow them down. And don't forget, this is the infrared symbol, and this is the radar symbol. Let's go over to some other decks as well, though. Another thing to note is veterancy is key to this gameplay. First of all, I always recommend that you up vet, at least double vet, your missile systems, because accuracy is key. If it can't hit, it's worth nothing. A 55% accuracy is not great for aircraft combat. You're going to want at least, double vet to get those hits. Even triple vet, you can bring a leader nearby to give them the triple vet. Huge difference. Two of these with a triple vet will absolutely shoot down anything. Three of them is a guarantee, but you're going to need a whole bunch if you're doing one vet here with 55% accuracy. It's no good. For these gun, though, anything with a machine gun burst, I don't really notice too much difference in accuracy. Come on, they're firing like cannons here. I just don't see any difference whatsoever. It's a total opposite again for the man pads, for both everybody. Vetting up is super important. If you vet up, you see that this only has a 37% accuracy. If you triple vet, you get a 45% accuracy, and these start making big differences. And honestly, things that have less than 50% accuracy really do hurt. So let's look at something that actually does have high accuracy. Okay, so how should you play? Well, with missile systems, obviously, guys, you want to be protecting them, especially infrared, because you can't replace infrared if you have seed issues. But your Gepards, anything with a machine gun that's cheap and stuff, your man pads, you need to be super hyper aggressive. You need to put them way up in the front line. And this is something to note with combat in WARNO, is when an aircraft decides it's going to go on a suicide run, it's going to hit no matter what you do. There's nothing you can do. It will drop its payload, pretty much guaranteed. It's just how it is. You pretty much kill aircraft if they're pulling out. The key of the game is to try to get them to bomb targets. They're not super positive KD wise, and that you can shoot down immediately, giving you a good trade. That is the plan that you need to do. That's like every single time. And you need to be moving up these Gepards really up in front of your tanks, or like right next or right behind the tank. Like you cannot be dicking around behind the line because you're going to let your super heavy tanks get killed by an aircraft with no gain just because you didn't move up your AA. So it's super key, guys. Move up your AA at all times and never forget about it, because it's honestly going to determine whether you can make a breakthrough or not. Because a lot of times players will break through, they don't bring up their AA that they should, and you'll just see them get bombed to death by like everybody in a team game, for example. Just get absolutely destroyed. So key to bring that in. Now, my last thing, just about Russian AA in general. The OSA is absolutely amazing. One of the best AA in the game. I recommend double vetting them for sure. Tunguska is really, really strong AA, guys, but you must be wary. This is a really expensive AA piece. You need to be so precious with it. You need to hotkey it. And remember, to turn off weapons so you don't get seeded, it's H. Anytime there's a seed plane, you call it out with your teammates, and you push H on the keyboard with all of your seedable vehicles. Because if you turn off the weapons, then they won't be detected, and they won't be seeded. Other than that, Strela, a good infrared missile system, has terrible range, absolutely trash range. But again, if you need to deal with seed and you need to get up in the front, they're a little overpriced in my opinion, 140 points, and they have less accuracy and less range, but they are infrared. These things, the Cub M3 is terrible. I don't recommend it at all. Its accuracy is nothing to speak about. 40% here. If you double vet, you get one. And you get 50% accuracy. And you have 3 missiles. I just do not recommend at all. They do have a big, payload, but again, I just don't recommend it at all. Other than that, though, Iglas are always good as well. They're just like their Stinger counterparts. Stingers are must take as well. And then regarding that, though, guys, it's kind of my guide. You guys tell me a little bit more about what you guys think AA should do. And maybe it'll change a little bit in the future. I bet it will with all the updates coming down the line. But just a little tips for some players who are having a lot of issues with AA in general. And actually, one more thing too, guys. Helicopters. What a helicopter's weakness? It's man pads and also machine gun or cannon AA. Anyway, I'll see you guys around. Hope this helps, and I'll see you guys around.